The story usually begins in a classroom, not a battlefield or a palace, but a simple room with open windows, electric fans humming, and students reciting words that came from far away. In the Philippines, English is not introduced as something foreign. It arrives early, casually, like a second skin. Children don't just memorize it. They live in it. They joke in it, argue in it, sing in it, see it, and sometimes even dream in it. To understand why the Philippines speaks English the way it does, you have to understand that English here is not a performance. It's a habit. Long before call centers and global rankings, English entered the Philippines through history that was complicated, painful, and deeply human. When the United States took control of the islands at the turn of the 20th century, they didn't just bring soldiers. They brought teachers, thousands of them. They were called the Thomasites, young men and women who crossed the Pacific not to conquer land, but to build schools. They taught English not as a subject, but as the language of instruction itself. Math was in English. Science was in English. History was in English. From the very beginning, English was not something you switched on for exams. It was how you learned to think academically. Over time, English stopped feeling like a colonial imposition and started becoming a practical tool. Filipinos are multilingual by nature. A child might grow up speaking a local language at home, Filipino with friends, and English at school. This constant switching builds flexibility. The brain adapts. Pronunciation sharpens. Confidence grows. English becomes less intimidating when you've been moving between languages your entire life. But schools alone don't explain fluency. If that were the case, many countries would sound the same. The difference in the Philippines is what happens after the bell rings. English doesn't stay inside textbooks. It follows students home through television, music, movies, and now the internet. For decades, American shows were broadcast without dubbing. Hollywood films weren't translated. They were absorbed. Kids didn't read subtitles. They listened. They mimicked accents. They picked up slang long before they understood grammar rules. This exposure created something subtle but powerful. An ear for natural English. Not stiff, formal English. Not exam English. Real, conversational English. The kind that pauses, jokes, interrupts, and changes tone. That's why Filipino English often sounds comfortable, relaxed, and expressive. It doesn't feel rehearsed. There's also something cultural at play. Filipinos are known for being expressive, warm, and socially engaged. Conversation matters here. Storytelling matters. Humor matters. English becomes a bridge, not a barrier. People aren't afraid to speak it imperfectly because communication is valued more than precision. And, ironically, that lack of fear leads to better fluency over time. Compare this with places where English is treated as a high-status language, spoken only in formal settings, judged harshly when mistakes are made. In those environments, people often understand English well but hesitate to speak. In the Philippines, speaking comes first. Polishing comes later. Then there is the workplace. For millions of Filipinos, English is not just useful, it's survival. Overseas work, customer service, aviation, healthcare, maritime jobs, and digital freelancing all depend on clear English communication. Call centers didn't make Filipinos fluent. They revealed something that was already there. When global companies arrived, they found workers who could speak clearly, empathize with customers, understand nuance, and adapt accents without losing their own voice. Listen closely to Filipino English, and you'll notice something interesting. It's not trying to sound British. It's not trying to sound American. It's understandable. And in global communication, understandability matters more than imitation. Filipinos tend to prioritize clarity over showing off vocabulary. They adjust their speech depending on who they're talking to. That adaptability is rare, and it's one of the biggest reasons international clients prefer Filipino communicators. Another overlooked factor is education culture. English teachers in the Philippines often speak English fluently themselves. They are not reading from scripts. They are explaining, reacting, joking, and sometimes scolding in English. This creates a feedback loop where students hear English used naturally by authority figures they trust. Over time, it stops feeling foreign and starts feeling normal. The media reinforces this daily. News broadcasts switch seamlessly between Filipino and English. Social media posts mix both in a way locals instantly understand. This code switching, often called Taglish, is sometimes criticized, but it actually strengthens fluency. It keeps English alive, flexible, and relevant instead of frozen in textbooks. There's also the emotional side of language. English in the Philippines is not tied to shame. It's not something only elites are allowed to speak. A street vendor can joke in English. A jeepney driver can give directions in English. A child from a rural province can grow up confident enough to speak to foreigners without feeling inferior. That confidence is everything. When people say the Philippines speaks better English than most of Asia, they're not saying Filipinos are smarter. They're pointing to an ecosystem, a system where history, education, media, culture, and economic reality all push in the same direction. English is not a badge of status. It's a shared tool. This doesn't mean the system is perfect. Accents vary. Grammar mistakes happen. But fluency is not about perfection. It's about flow. And in the Philippines, English flows. Walk through Manila, Cebu, or Davao and listen closely. You'll hear English woven into daily life, not announced, not performed, just used. Used to tell stories, used to solve problems, used to connect with the world. And that may be the real reason the Philippines stands out. English here is not treated as a foreign language to be mastered. It's treated as a living language to be used. And when a language is lived in, not just learned, it stops sounding foreign. It starts sounding human.